Okay. Uh, I'm sorry for that interference. We'll just get started again. We were talking about clickjacking. So there are two websites basically. There's one website which says website A and another one which is website B. The website A is this fancy website where you have won a free iPhone and you can claim your prize. So what exactly happens over here is that this website, let us assume it's vulnerable to clickjacking. So what will happen? An attacker, what he can do is he can create a similar website, and what exactly he will be doing is when you click on this claim your prize button, it will intersect with this pay button. So as a user or as a winner of this iPhone, you'll obviously be claiming your prize, but instead what will happen, you will some amount from your account or some amount from your UPI or something like that will be deducted. So instead of claiming that price, you'll be paying for that price. So this is a simple example of clickjacking. Instead of just having this pay button, what else you can have over here is that you can download malware. So instead of that claim your price button, when you click on claim your price, a file gets downloaded. So on your computer, that file will be downloaded and malware will be installed on your PC. So this is how attackers can exploit clickjacking in order to do malicious things with your computer. Okay, so let's come to the severity of clickjacking. Alright, so clickjacking can happen on two kinds of pages. In a normal website, there are two kinds of pages. One are those non-sensitive pages where on clicking on anything, on clicking on some buttons, nothing will happen. So like for example, a non-sensitive page can be google.com. So if you just search on google.com, only the search results will be shown. So in real world scenarios, if you find a clickjacking on such non-sensitive pages, the severity of those gets to P5. So it's just categorized as informational bug and nothing else. While as there are certain pages such as sign up pages or login pages, these pages are called as sensitive pages. And why they are called as sensitive pages? Because you enter your passwords, your usernames, your email addresses, all those personal information you enter up there and you try to log in. And if you have found a clickjacking on such sensitive pages, then the severity for that goes up till P4, or sometimes it is escalated to P3. Now how does it go for P4 and P3? We'll be seeing that in a practical session in a couple of few minutes. Besides that, why does this clickjacking happen? So what's the main source of clickjacking? So everything lies upon this headers called as X-frame options. There are multiple headers in a website, such as authorization header, which allows you to check if you are authorized to sign to use that website or not. It is basically a login mechanism used. Such as that, there's one more header called as XXS protection, which will tell you to which will allow you to protect from XSS kind of vulnerabilities. So there's a similar header which is called as X-frame options. Now what does X-frame options what does X-frame options do? Well, it tells the browser that does that website needs to be framed in some other website or not. So for example, if there's a movie clip and you have a website such as Netflix, so if that movie clip is hosted on say Vimeo.com or some other xyz.com, and if you want to X-frame it or if you want to frame it into an iframe and put it on your website, then X-frame options is the header which will help you to do that. X-frame options has three values. The first one is deny. Deny tells that any website cannot frame my content on that particular website. So that's what deny tells. It prevents any domain from framing the content. We have same origin as another value, which allows only certain websites to frame that content. So for example, if you tell, uh, it allows only current website. So if your website is xyz.com, it will allow only xyz.com to frame it on your website, nothing else. There's a third header which is called as allow from. Allow from takes a list of URI or a particular URI, and any website of that URI, only that website can be framed. Other websites won't be able to frame on your particular domain. So that's the role of X-frame options, and this is how we determine whether clickjacking attack will happen or not. Alright, so let's quickly see a practical of clickjacking. First, to check out, we'll be using this lab session, which is testphp.vulnweb.com. It's a vulnerable website already developed by Acunetics. It is used to demonstrate such applications or such vulnerabilities. I'm sorry. Alright, so first we need to determine whether X-frame options has been enabled on this particular domain or not. So to determine that, we'll be going to securityheaders.com. This is a website which tells you everything about headers. So here there are many recent searches which has happened. These are the recent scans. So if you check out any of the scan, you will be able to see what headers are present or what headers are not present. Hall of Fame is a section of security headers where they classify top graded websites, like those websites where security headers are of which security headers are the best. So websites such as pinterest.com, for example. So if you click over here, there are almost all headers which are set up. So they have distinguished this website as the Hall of Fame website. There's another thing which is called as Hall of Shame. Hall of Shame is where the website gets the least category. So over here, if you check out any one of them, you will be able to see that there are no headers which are set up. Okay, so let's check out if our test website is being able to is in this Hall of Shame or Hall of Fame, of which headers are set up by it. So if you just hit over here and click on scan, there are two things over here. There's this hide result option which is not useful in most cases, and there's this follow redirect option. What follow redirect will do is it will scan all the website and all the endpoints of this particular domain. So let's say if there's an endpoint called as ID, or there's an endpoint called as shop. This follow redirect will go on to this shop endpoint also, and it will scan that endpoint too. Or else if there's a subdomain, let us say this is a subdomain of vulnweb, but if there's a subdomain such as abc.testphp.vulnweb.com, follow redirect will also go on this subdomain and check this subdomain for us. So that's a great option provided by security headers. So if you just click on scan, you can see over here that there are these headers which are not available, or which are not set by this website. Even we get the IP address of this website, so it helps in our recon process. If you go down, this is the missing headers category which is not present. So if you check over here, content security policy, this is a header which is not present over here, which protects your website from XSS attacks. So from here we can determine that this website might also be vulnerable to XSS attacks. X-frame option. So as I told you guys, X-frame option tells whether this website is vulnerable to clickjacking or not. So over here, X-frame options is not set, so that means this website is vulnerable to clickjacking. The same thing is written over here. If you just read it, by preventing a browser from framing your website, you can defend against attacks like clickjacking. This is the same thing which is written over here, and it also gives the recommended value. So as I told you, the recommended value must be same origin. So you can use this recommended value to prevent your website from being vulnerable to clickjacking attacks. There's another header which is X content type options, referrer policies, and permission policies. These are these are 5-6 main headers which should always be present on your website to make it secure against such vulnerable attacks. Alright, so now we have determined that X-frame options is not set by this website. So what we are going to do is we'll be exploiting this website to clickjacking attack. So for clickjacking attack, we have a simple source code. I'll just open that source code. Okay, so this is a simple source code. We have created a HTML file with the HTML tag. Obviously, to create an HTML file, this HTML tag is important. We have written a title which is clickjacking test page. In the body section, we have written a paragraph which is website is vulnerable to clickjacking. These all are some basic things. The important thing where clickjacking attack will be recorded as a POC is this thing: iframe src equals to website name with height and iframe tag is closed. So what exactly is this? In HTML, we get a iframe option or iframe tag. What iframe tag does for us is it will take a website which is given by this keyword source, and this is the website name, and it will simply display that website on your web page. So in this manner, we will be able to know that we'll be generating a POC for clickjacking attack. So how does the attacker use this iframe option in order to steal credentials or in order to steal money or download hardware? I'll just go back to that picture. Just a moment. Okay. So yeah, correct. So this is a picture which I had shown to you. I'll just zoom it. So what does the attacker does? It will create this website. So this is the website which we have created. It will create a similar website with all those title bars and stuff. And this button, the pay button, is created in such a way that it exactly overlaps this claim your price button. Everything, the CSS also is the same. The CSS of the text is also same. The button height is same. Button width is same. Everything is similar, and it just coincides on one of the other. So that's how the attackers develop the website, and they just load this original website on the attacker controlled domain. So what will happen over here is I'll load my website on this domain, and underneath this I will be keeping that button of paying. So that's how I'll be creating my attacker controlled website. In over here we'll be using iframe tag, which will be helping us to do this stuff. Okay, so let's save this website. The source will be keeping the value of the website which is vulnerable to clickjacking attack. So let's save this website and let's open this. So this is the website which I have opened it. I'll just reopen it. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, so this is the website which I have created, and if you see over here, we have loaded the vulnerable website on our attacker control domain. So this is how we can prove that this website is vulnerable to clickjacking. So now here comes the impact. When I told you guys that there are two things, sensitive and non-sensitive actions, right? So non-sensitive web pages. This website which we loaded right now is non-sensitive web page, because over here whatever you type, there's no sensitive action which is happening. So even if you click on browse artist or your profile, there's nothing sensitive which is going on over here. So for this, the impact comes to P5. Now how can we increase the impact for a clickjacking? How can we increase it to P4 or even it to P3? That happens when you are able to steal credentials of the user which is logging in, or you are able to download any software on his computer device. So right now I'll be showing you one more demonstration wherein you can steal credentials of users using clickjacking attack. So for that I'll be using this brokencrystals.com. Again, this is a demo website. This website was developed vulnerable for us to try and test all sorts of vulnerabilities over here. So if you can see over here, there's a sign in button. Okay, so this website is a this endpoint of this website brokencrystals.com is sensitive web page right now. Why is it sensitive? Because over here we can sign in using our credentials. So anywhere where it comes signing in or signing up, or wherever there are certain sensitive credentials which can be taken from the user, those web pages are considered as sensitive. So this is a sensitive web page, and let's quickly check this on securityheaders.com. Let's see what headers are set and what headers are not set over here. Alright, so this is the report of security headers, and if you again check over here, Xframe options is not set. So since Xframe options is not set over here, now we know that this website is vulnerable to clickjacking. Okay, so let's first copy this website and let's paste the code in a simple clickjacking POC. Let's paste it over here and let's try it out that whether it's working proper or not. So yes, as you can see over here, the website is loaded into our iframe and into our attacker control domain. So this website is vulnerable to clickjacking. Okay, so now how do we capture the credentials of the users? So for that we have developed this wonderful tool. You can find this tool on hacktify.in/clickjacking. All you have to do is go on this website, in the URL section, just paste the URL of that website which you are testing. So if you just paste it over here and click on load, so once the URL is loaded, you will be able to see that this page has rendered that website. Okay, so now what next you have to do? You see there are three buttons over here. One is email, one is password, and one is login. So just drag this and put it wherever it is mentioned. So the email address is mentioned, so just put it in this text field where we can type the email address. The password button, so put it on this password field where you can type the password in the text field. And there's this login button which you can overlap on this sign in button. Once this is done, just click on view. So when you click on view, a new tab will be open, and okay, it's taking a moment. Alright, when that new tab is open, you can see over here a new text field is generated. So don't use this text field, use the new text field which is generated by this tool. So in this new text field, all you have to do is simply try to log in. So I had already created an account previously, so I'll be logging in with that account. So I just entered my email address, my password, and click on the sign in button. Make sure that you don't click on this old sign in button, the new sign in button which is created by this tool. So once you click on this sign in button, it says that the captured credentials are username is this, password is this, and these are the captured credentials. So what did this clickjacking tool did for us is it simply opened the web page in its mechanism, and it captured the credentials for us. Now how can we use these credentials? Well, we can use these credentials to log in as a legitimate user of that website, or else instead of just this popping up, you can modify the code, and you can also put your own server link. So all these credentials are not just popped out, but they get stored on your controlled server. So you might have a list of all the users which are trying to log in. So this is how you can perform clickjacking attack. And since now we have captured the credentials, this attack goes from P5 to P4, or in certain programs it can be accepted as P3 level bug too. Uh, so this was about clickjacking, the practical about clickjacking. Uh, let's move on to the slide and let's see the impact of clickjacking. Okay, so what you can do to gain followers on social media. So imagine you have found this bug on YouTube, or you have found this bug on any streaming service, maybe Twitch, uh, wherein you stream your videos. So over there, what you can do is you can just use this clickjacking mechanism to increase the likes of a video which you have posted. Or imagine you found this bug on Facebook, then you can increase the likes of the post you have posted. Similarly, you can also gain email or RSS subscribers to your YouTube channel or your Twitch channel. Uh, you can also use this bug to unknowingly transfer funds to the attacker account. So if this bug was found into a banking website, or into a website where you get such rewards, then unknowingly from the victim you can transfer funds to the attackers. Also, you can use this clickjacking bug to download malware. So this is the impact of clickjacking, and it can be categorized as a serious P4 or a P3 level category bug, depending on which website or on which web page you are finding this bug. Uh, if it's on sensitive web page, definitely it can be a P4 or a P3 category bug. Alright, so this was the first vulnerability of today. We'll be going to the next vulnerability, which is EXIF. So what is EXIF? Well, EXIF first stands for exchangeable image file format. That's the full form of EXIF. So EXIF actually is not a bug, but it's a principle in camera. So what exactly it is? So it's a metadata of an image. So whenever you capture an image, there are certain things which the camera from which the image has captured is stores along with your image data. So those files can be your geolocation, or the ISO speed which you have used, the shutter speed, the focal length, the aperture, the exposure, the date and time when the image was captured. All these data which is being captured by that, which is being stored by that camera, is called as EXIF metadata. So EXIF is not a bug, but EXIF can lead to a P3 category bug, which is called as EXIF sensitive data exposure. We'll be looking to this EXIF sensitive data exposure bug with the practical example in a while. Alright, so coming to the next thing. So what all things can be exposed, and how it can be, like, why this bug is considered as a P3 level category bug. So the things which can be exposed is geolocation. So once the geolocation is captured, what attackers can do is simply go on Google and type in the latitude and longitude, and they will come to know that which place this photo was taken on. So assume that it's a picture of your friends, and the website does not strip the geolocation. The user can simply take that image, put it on EXIF metadata viewer, and then he can extract geolocation information from it, the date of the information. Sometimes he can extract the name of the camera, the model of the camera. So once the model number is passed to the attacker, he can find out who bought that camera, and then and then he can find out more about the user of the camera using OSINT and stuff. So this is why EXIF data exposure is a serious thing. Okay, so the other things which can be exposed using this website is the sensing method, the file type, the type of compression, the file source, the time, the date on which this photo was taken. So these are certain things which can be exposed using this vulnerability. Alright, so the severity of this vulnerability. There are two things over here again. One is automatic user enumeration and manual user enumeration. So what do you mean by automatic user enumeration? So I'm sorry. If your profile photo is visible to the public, so for example, let's take an example of Facebook. So in Facebook, you have two options, either to keep your profile photo as private or public. So if your profile photo is public, and if Facebook is not stripping such EXIF data, uh, obviously it is stripping this EXIF data. I'm just giving you an example. If it's not stripping, then that case comes under automatic user enumeration, and the severity for it will be P3 level severity, because any attacker can use it. The another one is manual user enumeration. So in manual user enumeration, what happens is your photo is not visible to the public, but it is still visible to you and to the admins of the company. So in such a scenario, if there's an attacker who is sitting inside the company, he can, if the website is not stripping your EXIF data, he can view that EXIF data, obviously, because he has the rights to use to check out with your account, because he is inside the company, right? So if that's the scenario where your profile picture isn't public, then it comes under manual user enumeration, and for that the severity is P4. Okay, so let's try this bug out. So try this attack, and let's see how we can view the EXIF data. So before testing for this kind of bug, first you need to have certain images wherein the EXIF data is not stripped. Our community is so brilliant that we already have many images which are present. So if you go on this GitHub link, which is GitHub, the INR, which is the profile of the user, EXIF samples, there are many sample data which are already present. They are in both formats, JPG and TIFF. So if you click on JPG, there are many files which can be used. You have exif.org with GPS. GPS basically stands that geolocation is present in this image, in images which are present in this folder. You have mobile images, HDR images, etc. For you guys, I have already downloaded an image. I'll just show you that image. Okay. Alright, so this is the image which has already which I have already downloaded. I'll just check the metadata of this image. Okay. So to check the metadata of this image, you simply need to go on exif.regex.info /exif.cgi. Jeffrey is a developer who has created this beautiful website, and over here, by just uploading the file or pasting the URL, you will be able to see the EXIF metadata. So I'll just choose the file. Okay, so this is the image file. I'll just click on I am not a robot, and when you click on view image data, okay, so this is the file which we had downloaded. This is the image file which we have downloaded, and if you see over here, the EXIF metadata is has not been stripped from this image file. So I can easily note what camera was used in order to take this image, which is Nikon Coolpix P6000. The lens used was 8.1 mm. The exposure was this. Flash was off at that time. This was the file comment which was being added. One important thing which we can see over here is the location, the latitude and the longitude. This is the exact location of where this image was captured. So if I just copy this location and go on Google Maps and paste it over there, I'll be able to redirect to which location this was captured. So yeah, this is some private information which should be stripped from this image. It's not being stripped. So this was the metadata of the image. There's more metadata which is available over here. You all can just view it once if you all want to. Okay, so let's test out whether our vulnerable application strips this data or not. Again, I'll be taking this website which is brokencrystals.com. I'll just close all the other websites. Okay, I'll just quickly sign in, and once I'm signed in, I'll go on this image tab over here. If you can see, on clicking this, I'm able to upload an image. I'll just select my image, which is okay. This is the image.jpg, and alright, so if you see over here, my image has been uploaded. Now how do I extract the URL or the endpoint where this image got stored? To do that, you simply have to click on that image, right click on that image, and okay,